Let's have a look at Rule 10. Rule 10 covers quite a multitude of stuff, and he may ask you the situation of how would you plot a passage through a traffic separation scheme. So I'm sure that Tom will go over that, but it's just interesting to have it at the same sort of time as we're looking at Rule 10. So it says that you should navigate with great caution, as you are approaching the traffic separation scheme. And if you're not using the traffic separation scheme, you should keep well clear of it. Okay? But it says that you should follow the traffic separation scheme in the general direction of traffic. Here's a question that came up with Hilliard, and it says that you are on this vessel here on the rubber, and you have this vessel and you're approaching in this particular direction, and you have this vessel that had just come out of Boulogne, and she's just coming up. Okay, so she's abaft your beam, so she's an overtaking vessel. As you approach and as you come onto this course, to follow the general direction, you now find that this vessel here, to exaggerate, is right up onto your beam. Who is the give-way vessel?
She is.
So the ferry is still the give-way vessel, because it says, and this is what he was looking for, no subsequent alteration between either of the vessels shall make an overtaking vessel into a crossing vessel. Okay, so that was a specific question that ran maybe for about 2 sessions of orals until we sort of clocked it out. Okay. If we were to come through, then the other sort of situations, a very other similar situation is that if I take this off, and we have that may be a bit better. If I come round here, now there again, I've got that sort of situation. So it's the same scenario. He comes to starboard and then overtakes. Now he's wanted to go over to Dover, so as he's coming up to the MP buoy, he alters course to starboard to cross as near as possible at 90 degrees to go into Dover. Again, he is still the overtaking vessel and has not cleared. Okay, so it's the same scenario yet again, but there's different ways of trying to ask you what's going on. Okay.
But you don't have to leave the traffic.
There are different situations that lots of other vessels will do. Part of the source that we were going through, if I can borrow your pen, Krista, if I was wanting to cross and I need to go into Dover, Dover's over here, if I wanted to go into Dover, and I was joining this down here, what actions would I take? Well, if you have a look, and you need to write this one down, I think it's MGN 369.
No, that's restricted visibility.
So it's 366 then for the application of Rule 10. Is it 366? 368, somewhere in that range. 36. I can put it on for you a bit later on. But you need to pull out, because that covers the MCA's requirements for you to be using a traffic separation scheme, and then particularly for the Dover Straits. And Chris Bates is from Southampton, a ferryman, and so he's introduced this chart for us. So you need to be familiar with Dover Straits chart. And what they've asked you is that you are following that particular lane. How would you plan a crossing? So there are 2 ways that you could do. The important thing is that the passage plan that the master sets up needs to be dynamic, in that he says quite specifically that we need to take an assessment of the situation as we arrive at that particular situation and amend our passage plan accordingly to the traffic situations that we've got at that particular time. If you had no traffic, then to go across and then come across at 90 degrees may well be acceptable. But if I've got traffic there and that's putting me in, then it's not very clear as to what I'm doing. Bearing in mind that I would have described with the VTS my intentions of crossing the traffic separation scheme. That would be better than trying to crab across and then leave the traffic separation scheme at a narrow angle, because I'm now not travelling in the general direction of the traffic separation scheme. My best bet might be to follow the traffic separation scheme, leave it at as narrow an angle as possible, and then make an approach so as to cross the traffic separation scheme at that particular stage.
But you know you're going to cross, wouldn't you, join on the port side of that VSA?
So it might be if you were coming from down here, or alternatively if you can make that particular section and then leave, then you could do that. Okay, so it all depends where your passage plan is coming from and crossing to.
And what traffic's coming down the opposite
Well,
direction.
as I start to cross over here, then I am the giveaway vessel for these vessels that are travelling down. Remember that I need to maybe hold myself inside that separation zone and try and find the best way of crossing.
But you're limiting, by doing that on that side, you're limiting your options, because
So there are various different situations that you're coming through, okay? And you need to be able to explain to him, if he asks you this, how you would plan your passage plan through to it. But the important bit is to say that it's dynamic. If I am crossing the traffic separation scheme, you would have expected that the bridge team would have consolidated with the master so as to make it the safest way through. Okay? Other situations that we've come up with on the traffic separation scheme, as you come down through to J and K, or let's talk about the inside zone, then who can use the inside zones? If I was travelling from Boulogne to, so if I came out of this port here and I'm going to go to a port down here, then a short distance I would stay in the inside traffic zone. If I was going from Boulogne and I was going to Calais and I could use the zone, then use the lane, then I should do so. Okay. If I was travelling from Weymouth through to Dover, yeah, then I would stay clear of the traffic separation zone and use the inshore traffic zone, because I am travelling within the parameters of those particular zones. If I was working on offshore rigs or something like that, then I can use the inshore zone. Another interesting thing that is in the M notice is to say that if I need to seek shelter, then I can also use the inshore zone. So if you remember, there was maybe about 2 years ago, there were timber cargoes that got awash and spread out, and it's as a result of part of that the M notice came out. So she lost all her deck cargoes and stuff through there. Your favourite question that you're going to get is, you see the fishing vessel and she is in the zone. Here's the fishing vessel. She's in the zone. Can she fish inside the zone?
Yeah. Yes.
The answer is yes. Can she fish inside the lane?
Yes.
The answer is yes. What it does say, though, is that she can't impede the passage of any vessel. Or can't impede the passage of any vessel. You know? Where does it say, where does it explain what is passage and what is safe passage? Because if I put in the sailing vessel, then it says you can't impede the safe passage of a vessel that's normally travelling in within that zone. Okay. So what we're saying here quite clearly is the fishing vessel, although I am the giveaway vessel, yeah, power gives way to fishing, yeah. In this scenario, in a traffic separation scheme, she should not impede the passage of any vessel. Why is it any vessel? Well, if I was to go back and say, what is the difference, who is the giveaway vessel between a sailing vessel and a fishing vessel. It's the sailing vessel is the giveaway vessel. The sailing vessel shall not, or shall keep out of the way of a vessel engaged in fishing, RAM and NUC. Now it's saying, in this situation, if I had a sailing vessel following the traffic separation scheme, and she can do so, yeah, more than 20 metres in length, or a large vessel, she can use the traffic separation schemes. If she was to meet, however, a fishing vessel on that passage, now it clearly gives the fishing vessel should avoid impeding her. That's why it says any passage. Okay. If we come, are you happy with that?
So if he was to ask you to give way and you to stand on, and you're in the sailing vessel, you would say, I am stand on.
Okay. For which people, Paul?
This scenario here.
For this scenario where I've got a sailing, if you were on the sailing vessel,
Yeah.
okay, who is the giveaway vessel? Answer the question.
I'm going to give way, so I'm still.
Okay, the sailing vessel is still the giveaway vessel, but within a traffic separation scheme there is another caveat that says if I'm inside a traffic separation scheme on a sailing vessel, yeah, then a fishing vessel should not impede. It doesn't change. I am the giveaway vessel and should take action. Yeah. However, she should not impede. Okay. Okay. Let's put us on this vessel, and we see here. Let me put him on coming out of France, and he's crossing over. Yeah. Is he going to cross over at 90 degrees? Well, it all depends on whether it's a Sunday sailor or otherwise. Yeah. But on this particular situation, I have to evaluate the situation. And normally in a traffic separation scheme, there is considerable amount of traffic. And because of the nature of the traffic separation scheme, there are other navigational hazards that allow me to be channeled and funneled through that tight passage. However, on each situation, I have to make an assessment. There's the vessel on my starboard side. I take a succession of compass bearings to assess whether there's a risk of collision. They are steady. I am the giveaway vessel. She is the stand-on vessel. However, because I'm in a traffic separation scheme, she should avoid impeding my safe passage. Is it safe for me to take action? Is it going to put me in a close quarter situation with another vessel or with any navigational hazard? If it's not, clearly I have to take action because it's not affecting my safe passage. If, however, I have other vessels about and I can't alter course to starboard, or I put me in a close quarter, if I come to starboard I've got another vessel there, or I've got a vessel astern of me, now she's impeding my safe passage, and I'm going to sound 5 short and rapid blasts. My actions are either, yeah, if I have to evade her, give way, keep out of her way, or is it safe for me to alter course because that's the quickest way, or do I slow down in plenty of time? But it's all about looking ahead. It's all about using all available means to determine whether there is a risk of collision, and that would include radar, lookout, AIS, VHF. Okay. If I have him, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take action, and I'm going to either alter course or slow down. If I had him crossing from the port side, then there's the danger over there on the port side. So in this particular scenario, if he's impeding my safe passage, I'm going to send in 5 or more short and rapid blasts. Okay? And if he doesn't take action, I have to take action. On a scenario like this, then I'm going to slow down, because I'm not going to go to port for him unless it's particularly, we call the master, will be the first action on something like this. In a traffic separation scheme, they're not taking action, they're not complying with the rules. Then I need to call the master and slow down. When I do, then I need to make sure that I log who it is. By looking on his mast, I should see the registration number he's got or the name of the vessel, and then report it to VTS. Okay. So the difference between passage and safe passage. You have to make the distinction. It's passage for a fishing vessel and it's safe passage for a sailing vessel. Okay? Sean?